Yeah.
Ever wish you could, like, crack open a time capsule,
Yeah.
Buried right before the Civil War?
Hmm.
That's kind of what we're doing today with Shelby Foote's The Civil War.
Yeah.
A narrative.
Okay.
We've got volume 1.
Right.
And we're going deep.
Right.
But, for our listeners on the go,
Yeah.
we're using mindful moments today so you can nourish your mind even when you're busy.
I love that.
So
Yeah, this is going to be good.
it's really amazing how Foote just brings these figures to life.
He really does.
Like Jefferson Davis.
Oh, yeah.
President of the Confederacy.
Right.
Like, he just pulls you in
He's so good at that.
to Davis's complexities.
Yeah.
Like,
Uh-huh.
he's brilliant, but he's also stubborn.
Oh, absolutely.
And just this deep sense of honor.
Shakespearean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Foote uses Verena Howell Davis's first impression of her husband
Okay.
to show this complexity.
Oh, interesting.
She said he was the kind of person I should expect to rescue one from a mad dog at any risk, but to insist upon a stoical indifference to the fright afterward.
Wow.
What do you make of that?
I mean, that really says it all, right? Like a man of action, unwavering convictions.
Right.
And you can see how that steeliness,
Yeah.
Forged through his military and political career,
Right.
shaped his leadership.
Totally.
Not a man for compromise.
Especially on slavery.
Oh, especially on that.
I mean, his stance really set the stage for secession.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's pretty different from Lincoln.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, they were both ambitious.
Right.
But Lincoln was more pragmatic.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Like, Foote shows Lincoln as this patient figure.
Yeah.
Even folksy,
Uh-huh.
but also incredibly astute.
Yeah, he was always like 3 steps ahead.
Yeah, and we see his political maneuvering early on.
Right.
Navigating setbacks.
Sure.
Then rising to prominence.
Mhm.
Especially with that Kansas-Nebraska Act.
Oh, that was a game changer.
It was like the match that lit the fuse.
Yeah. Totally reignited the slavery debate and pushed the nation closer to the brink.
And then, bam, violence erupts in Kansas.
Oh, right, yeah.
Further dividing the nation.
And it just kept escalating.
John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Lincoln's election in 1860.
Right.
It all just pushed the South towards secession.
Makes sense.
And then South Carolina secedes.
It's happening.
And all eyes are on Fort Sumter.
Right. This little fort becomes the center of everything.
Yeah.
So symbolic.
Foote is so good at building tension.
Oh, he's a master.
Showing the impossible choices Davis and Lincoln face.
I mean, what were they supposed to do?
Davis had to assert Confederate sovereignty.
Right.
But Lincoln couldn't look weak.
Yeah, he had to stand up to the rebellion.
So then Confederate forces bombard Fort Sumter.
And it's over.
They force the surrender.
Yeah.
The war has begun.
And it's a shock to everyone.
It's like this wave of disbelief across the nation.
Totally.
How do you think Foote handles this moment?
Well, he captures the military action, of course.
But
he also gets at the emotional undercurrent, this sudden realization on both sides that this isn't just politics anymore.
It's a fight for survival.
Exactly.
And the fight gets brutal fast.
Oh, yeah.
First Battle of Bull Run.
Right.
Shatters any illusions of a quick victory.
Uh-huh.
It's chaos.
Yeah.
Bloodshed.
Foote doesn't hold back.
Not at all.
Exposes the naivete, the lack of preparation on both sides.
It's a wake-up call.
A harsh one.
And so Lincoln turns to George McClellan.
McClellan, the man of destiny.
Right, to get the Union Army in shape.
He was supposed to be the guy.
And McClellan was meticulous.
To a fault, some might say.
Yeah, he built this well-trained army, well-equipped, but cautious.
Maybe too cautious.
Almost like he was afraid to commit.
Yeah, he was always overestimating the enemy.
So we see him inching towards Richmond.
Right.
Building these elaborate siege works.
Yeah.
Always asking for more reinforcements.
Right.
And the Confederates are watching.
Led by Johnston.
Waiting
for the right moment.
And then they strike.
The Battle of Seven Pines.
Yeah. Chaotic. And Johnston gets wounded.
Opening the door for Lee.
Wow. Talk about a turning point.
It's a whole new ballgame now.
What does this mean for the Confederacy?
Well, Lee brings this new energy, a sense of urgency.
Right.
He knows they can't win a war of attrition.
So what does he do?
He sends Jeb Stuart on a reconnaissance mission.
Around McClellan's whole army.
The whole thing.
That's bold.
And it pays off.
What does Stuart find?
Well, he confirms that McClellan's supply lines are vulnerable.
Oh, no.
Exposes the Union's flanks.
It's a strategic victory.
Huge boost to Confederate morale.
Yeah, it must have shaken the Union to its core.
Absolutely.
And through it all,
What?
McClellan's convinced he's facing a larger force.
Still clinging to that caution.
Right.
Even with pressure from Washington.
Yeah. Lincoln wanted a decisive victory.
Yeah. But McClellan just kept delaying.
Waiting for the perfect moment.
Which never came.
And then Lee launches the 7 days battles.
Relentless attacks.
Pushing McClellan back from Richmond.
One after another.
Mechanicsville.
Gaines's Mill.
Savage's Station.
Malvern Hill.
Just brutal fighting.
Heavy losses on both sides.
But Lee keeps the pressure on.
Yeah, even outnumbered.
A testament to his audacity.
His mastery of maneuver warfare.
How does McClellan react?
Not well.
He retreats.
To Harrison's Landing.
The Peninsula Campaign is over.
It's a crushing defeat for the Union.
And Lincoln is not happy.
No, he's increasingly frustrated with McClellan's timidity.
Foote really captures that tension.
Between Lincoln and McClellan.
Yeah. Lincoln wants action.
And McClellan wants more men.
It's a clash of personalities.
And perspectives.
It really highlights that tension.
Between political and military leadership.
And it's going to continue throughout the war.
Yeah. The Peninsula Campaign's failure is a major turning point.
Lee's success emboldens the Confederacy.
Right. They start to believe they can actually win.
But the Union
faces a long, hard fight ahead.
And that's where Foote leaves us at the end of Volume 1.
The war's outcome hanging in the balance.
But we'll explore that more
in Part 2
when we shift our focus to the Western theater.
That's where things get really interesting.
But for now,
yeah.
What are the key insights from this section?
I think the biggest takeaway is that individual personalities had a huge impact on the war's early stages.
Right. Davis's stubbornness,
McClellan's caution,
Lincoln's frustration,
on Lee's boldness.
All of that shaped the course of events.
And we can't forget the human cost.
Yeah. Foote constantly reminds us that behind the strategies,
the politics,
there are ordinary people caught in this maelstrom.
Right. This isn't just about generals and presidents.
It's about the people who lived through it.
Exactly. So as we move into the Western theater,
things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah. This is where we see the war expand.
New challenges.
Definitely.
We meet John C. Fremont.
Oh.
Right in Missouri.
A state on the edge.
Totally divided loyalties.
Guerrilla warfare.
And Fremont.
He's a fascinating guy.
But flawed.
Ambitious.
Idealistic.
Impulsive.
And his leadership in the West.
It was,
that great.
Let's just say it was problematic.
But doesn't sugarcoat it.
Not at all. He shows Fremont struggling to maintain control.
Amidst all the chaos.
Exactly.
But then there's Sterling Price.
Oh, the former Missouri governor.
Leading the Confederate forces.
He was a tough opponent.
A real threat to Fremont.
Yeah, Price knew how to use the terrain to his advantage.
And he had the support of many Missourians.
Oh, absolutely. They saw him as a hero.
Plus, he wasn't afraid to take risks.
No, he was always looking for an opportunity.
Foote describes some intense clashes between Fremont and Price.
Like the Battle of Wilson's Creek.
Yeah, a bloody affair.
Heavy losses on both sides.
But Price just kept coming back.
A real thorn in Fremont's side.
And in this turbulent Western theater,
we see the rise of another Union commander.
Ulysses S. Grant.
The man who would win the war.
What a contrast to Fremont.
Oh, yeah. Grant was pragmatic.
Focused instead of grand gestures.
He focused on concrete objectives.
Like capturing Forts Henry and Donelson.
Right. Controlling those key waterways in Tennessee.
That was a strategic victory.
Absolutely. It showed Grant's military genius.
And then his demand for unconditional surrender at Fort Donelson
made him a national hero. There's always a but.
It also sparked some jealousy.
Criticism.
Especially from his superior, Henry Halleck.
Oh, Halleck, the old brains of the Army.
Right. He was all about caution and bureaucracy.
And he didn't like Grant's independent style.
That tension between them.
It comes to a head at the Battle of Shiloh.
Oh, Shiloh.
What a disaster.
The Union Army was caught completely off guard.
Almost destroyed.
Foote takes us right into the heart of that battle.
The confusion, the carnage, the desperate fight for survival.
It's a horrifying scene.
But Grant eventually pulls out a victory.
But at a cost.
He faces harsh criticism for his lack of preparedness.
His reputation suffers.
And Halleck sidelines him.
Takes control of the army himself.
A setback for Grant.
But not the end of his story.
Not even close.
Foote leaves us with this sense of the war's expanding scope.
Mounting casualties.
And the emergence of these leaders.
Who will shape the conflict's course.
A conflict with profound consequences.
For the armies.
For the nation.
For the very idea of America. And as the war moves west, we see those challenges multiply.
Right, like in Missouri.
Yeah, a state torn apart by the conflict.
With those divided loyalties.
Exactly, and right in the thick of it.
We find Ulysses S. Grant.
Yeah. Grant takes center stage in this volume,
emerging as a key figure for the Union.
And Foote really highlights the contrast between Grant and someone like Fremont.
Oh, yeah. Fremont, the pathfinder.
Right. All ambition and idealism.
And not a lot of practicality.
No, not really. Whereas Grant...
focused, determined to win.
And it shows in his actions.
Right, like capturing Forts Henry and Donelson.
Yeah, controlling those waterways was crucial.
Gave the Union a real advantage in the West.
And then there's Shiloh.
Oh, Shiloh.
One of the bloodiest battles of the war.
A real turning point.
Yeah, it showed just how brutal this conflict could be.
And Grant?
He's tested like never before.
But he comes out on top.
Though not without controversy.
Right. People questioned his decision.
His leadership.
But Foote makes it clear
that Grant had this unwavering determination
to win,
no matter the cost.
And that's what ultimately sets him apart
from the other commanders.
Yeah, Grant was willing to do what it took
to achieve victory.
And as we wrap up Volume 1, what strikes you about Foote's approach to this history?
Well, he really captures the human drama of it all.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't just recount battles and dates.
Right.
He delves into the personalities,
the motivations,
the decisions that shaped the course of the war.
And he does it in such a compelling way.
His prose is just beautiful.
It's like reading a novel.
Yeah, but knowing it's all real.
It makes the history come alive.
Absolutely.
So for our listeners who want to experience the full power of Foote's storytelling,
I highly recommend picking up a copy of The Civil War, a narrative.
Yeah, you can find a link in the show notes.
And be sure to subscribe to the channel
for more deep dives like this.
We're exploring all sorts of fascinating topics.
From history and science
to culture and beyond.
And if you enjoyed this episode,
don't forget to share it with your friends.
Spread the knowledge.
And keep those conversations going.
Because that's what it's all about.
Sharing these stories.
Learning from the past.
And understanding our present.
So until next time.
Keep diving deep.